We live in a time where every single being on this planet is responsible for the future of humanity and the health of our planet. The human race is out of control, with psychopaths at the wheel who are caught up in expanding their own power and wealth. We have been derailed. To get back on track, we need to make the change. The illusion of choice when electing our leaders has never been a choice. If it truly were a choice, we wouldn't be choosing from 20 or so candidates who we know very little about. We would be involved in setting up the selection criteria, like whether or not the candidates fit moral and ethical standards, whether they are spiritual, whether they are selfless and put the needs of others and our planet first, whether they have demonstrated kindness, compassion and generosity throughout their lives, what they have contributed to their communities and the greater good on a whole, as opposed to what personal wealth or power they have achieved. As it stands, we are driving headfirst off a cliff. Politics are totally owned and being corrupted by big business, in which companies these days have become more powerful and richer than countries. It is commonplace to find lawmakers and politicians being paid millions of dollars to be board members and becoming major shareholders of these companies. So it is easy to see how these politicians and lawmakers are now in a position where it is in their best interest to pass laws or influence policies to benefit themselves and the financial interests of their respective company, even if it's at the expense of the environment and the human populace. As long as there is money involved in politics, then politics will be corrupt. Coca-Cola recently admitted to producing 3 million tonnes of plastic packaging a year. 3 million tonnes every year. They are only one of so many companies producing endless streams of single-use packaging, not to mention how harmful their products can directly be to our health. National Geographic recently revealed that plastic has been found at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest point in the ocean, at a depth of 36,000 feet. The impact humans are having on this planet is also evident in places like the Great Pacific Garbage Patch floating between Hawaii and California that is 3 times larger than the state of Victoria in Australia where I live. I can imagine in 20,000 years or so, if humanity is long gone and a new race or species develops on the planet Earth, that they will be conducting some sort of deep core drilling tests or something and hit like 20-foot layer of plastic. According to US National Park Service, it takes around 450 years for a plastic bottle to decompose in the environment. That means that if Shakespeare had a bottle of soft drink, that bottle would still be around and would remain for at least another 50 years. Do you think our leaders care about any of this? Do you think it looks like they're on top of the problem? No. It is pretty obvious that they get paid or get kickbacks to maintain the status quo, to keep the system as it is, to keep the profits flowing. Is this a system we really want? It is not a system that can be sustained anyway, and it will all come crashing down at some point. The extent of the damage we do to the health of the planet and ourselves before that time comes is up to us. It is all based on consumerism. Our Earth does not have infinite resources. We can't keep taking and taking the natural resources just to produce throwaway items that are creating so much waste. All products these days are designed not to last, through a policy called planned obsolescence. This ensures companies can keep selling us their products. If they were made to last, then they wouldn't get repeat business. So components are intentionally designed to fail or only last a certain amount of time so that we have no choice but to keep replacing our damaged or faulty goods. The bottom line is if we continue to support the system where companies and individuals are becoming so wealthy that they can influence humanity on a global scale, then we are fated to follow their agenda, which is acquiring more wealth with little to no regard of the consequences. It is easy to make small changes. Reduce waste. Buy a drink bottle, not plastic. Stop buying soft drinks and bottled water in plastic single-use bottles. These are known to leach chemicals into your drinks and into our environment for the duration of the life of the bottles, as well as creating an ever-increasing global waste problem. Try to avoid food in plastic packaging. There is growing evidence that food is contaminated by harmful chemicals from some types of plastic. Many foods are packaged in these risky plastics, including fresh meat, cheeses, and even some health foods and organic vegetables. Cling wrap, sandwich containers, soft drink bottles and the seals on glass jars are made of polyvinyl chloride, PVC, which contains plasticizers such as DEHA or phthalates that can leach into food. Things like sauce bottles, baby bottles, drinking cups and reusable water bottles are made of polycarbonate, which can release BPA into its contents. Stop buying the new best thing. Part of planned obsolescence is releasing a new model each year with minor changes or slight improvements. Consumers typically go along with the "I have to have the latest model to fit in" kind of mentality, and companies are able to make huge profits by producing items that don't need to last or barely long enough until the next model comes out at least. So make do with what you have where you can. Stop consuming. If you have clothes you can rewear, if you have a mobile phone that still does the job, if you have a car that still gets you from A to B, etc., then make do. Share what you have. If everybody shared what they owned, you could get away with only one lawnmower on each block. Every household would no longer need to have one of every product just in case you might need to use it one day. How many houses have drawers, cupboards, garages and sheds full of stuff? A lot which ends up as landfill. As a result, toxins from these products end up in our soil and waterways, and traces are found worldwide in our water, air, soil and food. Limit your water and power use. I'll say it again here that our planet does not have infinite resources, so only 2.5% of the Earth's water is fresh water. There are obviously communities on Earth that don't even have access to clean drinking water. So always be mindful to minimise how much water you waste. I know showers are great, but limit the time you take to only what you require to wash thoroughly. If you are showered and clean, then think about limiting how often you wash your towels, clothes or bed sheets. This certainly shouldn't be every time that they are used in most cases. Wash your car with a bucket of water as opposed to leaving the hose running. This is all simple stuff to most of us, but there's still people that don't think of the big picture. Limit your power usage. So do you really need the TV running if no one's paying attention? Do you need to leave the light on in the other room? Do you need to leave the heater on when you could just put warmer clothes on? So it's all the little choices that will make the big difference. So I think I'll wrap it up there. Thanks for listening to my thoughts. Please leave a comment if you agree or have any suggestions on how we can all do our bit to bring about positive change for the future of the planet and humankind. We can make the difference, and we have to. Peace and love.